Unmute myself. Okay. We're at minute number 7. Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to Wild Widow Woman. I'm Rachel. I am the Wild Widow Woman, the Wild Widow. And this Venn diagram that you see behind me is what I'm going to be discussing with y'all today. I discovered this Venn diagram on a support site that I found on Instagram. And the name of that group is the Modern Widows Club. Very, very helpful. If just look them up. I mean, they really did help kind of walk me through the first few months of widowhood in a way that I hadn't, that I needed, honestly. Once I decided to live this life that I've been given instead of running from it, I found them and they really did support me, or, their content supported me well. So this Venn diagram in the background, I'm going to go over each one kind of briefly because I don't want this to last, 6 hours or however. I just want to make sure that we touch on all of them. And then there will be different podcasts, different episodes that I do like one at a time, or maybe a 2 at a time or something. Okay. So I do have a copy of it right here in my hand. So I'm going to be looking at that periodically as I talk to you. These are the secondary and tertiary losses that are connected to the primary loss of a spouse. So Steve was my husband, and like I said, like I've mentioned, he passed away this March 15th. Will be 9 years. Get that arrow out of the way. I don't know if it shows up in the recordings or not. So that was my primary loss. Now that's in and of itself a devastating blow. As any widow will tell you, it's like part of you is gone, and muddling through what comes next it can be treacherous, and it can be devastating, or it can be growth giving. It can be life giving. At some point, it is my heartfelt prayer that it is life giving to every single widow that experiences it. That is the purpose of the Wild Widow Woman Foundation, is that widows don't feel alone, and they have what they need, and they have a person to talk to. So all of that to say, we're going to touch on this today. I'm going to start at the bottom where y'all can't see. It says loss of, and you don't know what that says. The very first one is loss of confidence. And beneath that, there are 2 that touch on either side. So we have loss of confidence that touches loss of faith. We have loss of dreams of the future, loss of identity, loss of income, loss of support system, loss of financial security. The one right behind my shoulder is loss of intimacy. So we're going to start with those first 8. And as you see, they're all overlapped, and what that looks like in the middle sometimes gets a little muddy, in my opinion, because sometimes one of those secondary losses is stronger than what else is going on. So it gets a little muddy, and that's the best word I can use, that I can come up with to use. So we're going to start at the top. Obviously, there was a huge loss of income. And what that looked like for me, my husband was our primary breadwinner. I'm a yoga teacher by trade, Bikram yoga. It's a very specialized area of yoga. And I convinced myself years ago, when I was at teacher training and then came home, that yoga doesn't pay the bills, that the only way to make yoga to pay the bills was to have a studio. Today, I know that's a lie, and I'm doing things within my power to change that. But I'd convinced myself that I could not support myself based on my income. So I lost my job. And by lost, I mean I walked away from. It wasn't pretty, wasn't fun. I did, and I'll go into that all another time. So loss of identity. I don't know how many of you experience this, but I know growing up, anytime I went anywhere, we went anywhere as a family. I was raised by a single mom. She was always Rachel's mom, and you grow up, you move on, you get a life, and suddenly I'm Steve's wife. I was Michael and Leanne's mom for a long time. And when I decided to embark on the life that I'd been given, I was already about 3.5, 4 years in when I thought, oh gosh, I should probably think about healing. Um, when I did that, and I was also an empty nester. So I had all these different things attached to me. I'm a widow. I'm an empty nester. I'm broke. I was a yoga teacher. Am I still? I had to go into sales, so I'm a salesperson. Um, Identity was a really weird one for me. Really hard for me to, still sometimes very hard for me to settle on an identity. And what I know today is being true to myself is a day at a time thing. It is sometimes a 1 minute, 1 hour at a time thing, because I can get so caught up in what I lack that my identity revolves around it. So today, that's not the case. Today, my identity is attached to me, and not many people, not many places, and not many things make up my identity. It's a core and an eccentric thing for me now. Moving right along. Loss of dreams for the future. One of the things that Steve and I did a lot, we did a lot of dreaming. He loved some DuPont registry magazines, and he would get the car one or he would get the house one or whatever. And that was a big deal. We would lay in bed and he would look at cars and wheels and, different interiors and dealerships. And I mean, just all the things. He'd buy lottery tickets and we'd talk about what we'd do with money. And he would always say, you can't win if you don't play. And, since I wasn't a believer, obviously I wasn't gonna win anything. Our dreams for the future didn't matter how much we spent dreaming about things that other people saw as unrealistic, or even that we thought were unrealistic things. The fact of the matter is, anytime you spend some time dreaming, it expands your mind, your joy, and something will come. Even if it's not that $500,000 Lambo SUV that, with these specialized wheels and all the shit, what will come is a desire for something, and then a growth and a build from there. So our dreams for the future always made something, even if it was, we've been looking at all this shit and I'm perfectly happy with the house that we have, you know but those dreams, no longer did I get to dream about how we were going to expand that side yard off of the mother-in-law suite, how we were going to take out those damn holly bushes. It was the loss of the dreams of the future can be anything from as minor as what am I going to do day after tomorrow to what am I going to do year after next. I lost that ability to dream. So moving right along, it connects us to loss of faith, and my loss of dreams for the future were directly correlated to my loss of faith. Steve and I actually met in church, in a Christian church, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to alienate anybody, but that is not my system of faith today. And the reasons are many and sundry. And at some point, when I feel like when I feel like I won't alienate people, I'll go into that a little more in depth. But I want everyone to know that whatever it is your faith is attached to, don't lose it. You can question it. In fact, faith that isn't tested, isn't tried, isn't worth it. You can test your faith. You can question it. You can explore it. I would encourage you to do those things. I stopped going to church. And my primary reason for that was that, and I'm going to project a little bit here, but I had this sense that that's just what was expected. That's how I was going to heal. Just go to church, hang out with these people, do these things. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And the fact is that wasn't fine. I wasn't fine. And those people weren't helping me. Just being in those rooms, in that giant ass room, wasn't helping me. I lost my religion entirely, and I have a different bandwidth for faith and spirituality now, and I'm happy about that. But yeah, my faith was highly impacted by the loss of my husband. I didn't want any part of God that would let that happen to me, because I didn't understand it. And some days I still don't. But today, what I do understand is that I would not give or take for anything that's happened since he left me. Left us. It wasn't just me. So I'm going to move this over just a tiny and get out of the way. So attached to that at the bottom is where we have the loss of confidence, without faith, without dreams for the future, without an identity, no income to speak of. I was not confident that anything was going to happen except my ultimate demise. Um, I wasn't sure how to breathe in and out, much less do the next things, you know. I didn't I and what's interesting to me about that is this still crops up for me. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but just today I'm in a meeting, in a Zoom meeting, talking to my team, and I said, these are the things that I can do, and this is why I haven't done them. And some gal who's not on this, not even her picture's on the screen, and she interrupts me. She says, I hate to interrupt, but Rachel, we got to give this girl some confidence. I thought, I'm the most confident woman I know. I'm a podcast producer. I'm a life coach. I am confident. I am also confident that I have no clue sometimes what to do with other things. I'm an insurance broker and I love it. I love being able to help people like that. But the very idea sometimes of approaching new people, it chills me to my bones and my confidence is lacking. So yeah, there was a huge loss of confidence. Today, I can see it. I can name it. I can address it. Today, I choose to identify it rather than ignore it. Attached to that, I don't know if you can see, is loss of intimacy. I will go into this particular topic probably in a little more in depth at another time. It's cold here, so I'm covering up. Another time. But what I want everyone to know, or what I have discovered among myself, is that one of my primary love languages is physical touch. However, because of where I come from, how I grew up and those kind of things, and the daddy issues that I have or have had in the past, my drug of choice was never drugs or alcohol. It was always sex. So when I say loss of intimacy, I'm not talking about getting laid. I did plenty of that. I just damn near installed a revolving door in my bedroom right after Steve died, even though he and I hadn't had sex in over 10 years because of medical issues. It did for me what drugs and alcohol do for other people. It helped me mute the pain. It helped me ignore the pain. It helped me think I was having a good time doing something that I really wasn't having a good time doing. I won't go into detail about how it crumbled away at me, but just suffice it to say that the intimacy that I was missing was just having somebody witness my fucking life. Today, that looks a whole lot different. Today, my cats are my life witnesses. I am my life witness. And that is better than anything. Knowing that I am the one that witnesses my life and that matters is huge. So next to that, we come to loss of financial security. Not knowing what financial security felt like while he was alive. I don't know that I recognized it when he was gone. Now, hear me out. My man worked hard. I worked hard. Our priorities were a little fucked up, and we chose to spend our time in counseling on things besides finances, and that's okay. But the financial security that I speak of is just the knowing that there's a financial structure in place that I can lean to or build upon for the future. We did not have that. And then moving right along to loss of support system. I'm going to hammer pretty hard and I might get loud. Support system is everything from your family. Yes, your children, your siblings, your mom, your dad, anything from your family, your church, your coworkers. Support system is everybody around you. It's not that 4 or 5 people. Okay. It's not that one person or that 2 persons or whatever. The support system that I speak of is a collective effort among the people that see you on a regular basis. That is your support system. The ones that care about you, the ones that when you walk into Central Market, they know what happened last week and they want to find out the outcome or whatever it is. Those things did not go away. Central Market didn't go anywhere. Mark my words, they're still there. We went there every Saturday morning for breakfast for a decade. They catered my husband's funeral for free. They gave me as much food as they could possibly give me for free after he died. But hear me when I tell you, just because it's still there doesn't mean it was a support. Not smack talk to anybody there. Okay, this is all from an internal perspective. And years later observation, no one knows how to talk to you about losing your husband. Nobody wants to talk to you about losing your husband. They may say they do. But dealing with the mortality of a spouse is super duper personal. And people that have not experienced it, they don't know how. And that's just as nice as I can get about it. It's not anything they're doing on purpose or intentionally. It's not they don't want to help you or to ease your hurt in any way. It is 100% they don't know the words. So the words that we end up hearing a lot as widows and widowers is, if you need anything, call me. And let that sit. If you need anything, call me. If you need anything, call me. I don't know what I need. And I don't know when I'm going to need it. But what I know now in retrospect is that I need y'all, all of you, every single one of you that are saying that. I need y'all to, I don't know, maybe get together and figure out when one of you can call me on Monday, one can call me on Tuesday, one can call me on Thursday, whatever. Or I need you to reach out to me. Simple. I don't know what I need. And I'm not going to call you because you don't understand. Period. And that's not to say that I'm so special you'll never understand my feelings. But if you've not lost a spouse, you do not understand. So losing support is, it often feels like a loss of interest. It often feels like an abandonment. Even for me, it came down to feeling rejection. I have family members that were so, and hear me when I tell you, I love these people. Okay. I do consider myself smarter than them in this area, though. Something you've never done, you have no smarts about. So I had family members get so frustrated with my need that they abandoned me. I couldn't get out of my own head, so they stopped reaching out. In fact, they said mean things to me. So my loss of support became a shooting range, and I was the target, for lack of better verbiage. So the loss of support's a big one to me. It's the primary one that I felt down the line. And if I hang too much longer, it'll all be all about that. So we're going to move on. We've got loss of working memory. Yes, I'm getting older. And yes, as we get older, that happens anyway. And yes, when you experience trauma, that happens anyway. And then when you self-medicate, it happens more. And I did those things. All that happened. Today, I'm not going to go into all that right now. Just suffice it to say that I don't remember shit a lot of times. I got to have a conversation with one of my kids just last week. She's telling me stuff that happened, immediately after our loss, and I have no recollection of the circumstances. I have no recollection of the timing, none. So, that can be a little scary. Losing time is not a lot of fun, but working around that and with that, and then accepting it has been super healing for me. But it's also given me the space to self-accept. So, moving right along, loss of a parenting partner. I think I mentioned being an empty nester. So what that looks like at the time when I decided, oh gosh, let's heal from this widow business. about 2.5, 3, maybe 4 years in, I decided that. And I look up and I'm like, oh, shit, I'm also an empty nester. I spent those last 3, 4 years of the opportunity I had to be a parent, to be parental in my children's lives, doing other stuff. Not going to go into that, but well, I will later because it's part of my story. But loss of a parenting partner is huge because we co-parented, and I know. I mean, I have had friends that their co-parenting skills, even as divorcees, is so great, so freaking great. Blows my mind. Imagine life without it. Suddenly, all the decisions are yours. You don't even have a sounding board anymore. My best friends were my family. I mean, and I'm talking my four walls family. Like, if I didn't have Steve to bounce it off of, I'm like, I'm talking to my kids now. What? Not exactly the healthiest thing. So my kids kind of became my partners, and I took advantage of that in a way that I'm not real proud of. And again, there'll be topics down the line about that. Loss, general sense of security. The best way I know to exemplify this is with a story. The year Steve died, I took my kids and my mom to New York for Christmas. It was fantastic. It was a great trip. I was determined we were going to have a good Christmas with or without Daddy. So we did. And it was, and for me, that was literally was just more running, but another story for another day. We wanted my kids to experience public transportation in New York, so we get on the subway. They hate me for it, but that's okay. So we're on the subway, and I start having my second ever in my whole lifetime panic attack. Skip to, we're outside the subway, and I'm talking to my mom, and I'm calm. Things are, we're getting back onto let's getting on with our day. And I said to my mom, and this is 100% from a Christian perspective, I no longer feel a mantle over me. I feel that my mantle has been removed. And as people in the Christian faith that know that is the mantle over you is your protection. It's who you. It's a part of who you are. It's also described as a battle standard. In a lot of battles, it was a flag, and it's what represented you on the whole. And then there's a scripture that says his banner over me is love, which means love owns me. Seriously, that's what that means. The mantle is what owns you. It covers you. It's your covering. It protects you. It loves you. Mine was gone. That's how I felt. Loss of health. I will say that loss of health impacted me in a way that is not real obvious. There's a lot of mental health issues that took place. Depression and whatnot. And again, self-medicating. Loss of exercise. Influx of unhealthy foods. And all of that was just, it was just me running. But that little circle remains a tiny bit elusive to me. And I'll go into that another time. Moving on down the line, loss of best friend. Now, this happened to me in spades. The impact around this right here, it happened in many different ways. First of all, I lost my very best friend in the whole wide world. He was my ride or die. And I neglected others because I was hurt so bad. I neglected the girlfriends that I had. Now, did I have a bunch of them? No, never have. It's just not been my thing, and for various and sundry reasons. But I have these two really great girlfriends, and today I do not. And I won't say that it's because of the loss of my husband, but I will say it's connected to every other thing on there. Because of how I experienced every other thing on there. I lost two best friends that I cherished. So I turned to my kids and burdened them with needing friendship. Today, I'm the best friend that I have. And I get to say things like, my mom is a good, good friend. And I have another girlfriend now. And it's all been really hard work. And only because I've lived most of my life without girlfriends and friendfluence, I didn't really even recognize the loss for a long, long time. It took me a while to realize that I was missing anything at all until I wanted one of them there and they weren't there. Uh, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so down here that you can't see between loss of faith and loss of confidence, just connected to both of those, is loss of social status. I was that damn mom, y'all. I was at the school all the time. I substitute taught. I was the substitute nurse. I read stories to my kids in kids' classes. I was that mom. And all of that came crashing down because of many things, not the least of which was I just didn't have the time to hang out at the schools anymore. But my social status became work and self-medicating. That's what I did. More on that later. And then to my left, over here, there's loss of job, but between, okay, so under loss of intimacy and loss of confidence, connected to both of those is loss of home. Yes, I lost my home. I lost the home that my kids grew up in. And that sucks. We bought that home, and when we bought that home, in my mind, my kids were always ever going to have a place to go to. I was going to die in that home. And they were, we were going to have wedding celebrations and baby celebrations and life celebrations in that home. And about 17 months after he died, I lost it. More on that later, or I'll just keep crying. So then we come back over here to loss of job. And like I said, the loss of identity and income, loss of job being way over here. I'll get that, but whatever. I was a yoga teacher, y'all. And thought that wasn't going to pay the bills. So I quit my job. But before I quit my job, I abandoned it mentally. And today, that's a sore spot for me because I need to apologize to my studio owner and tell her that I know I did her dirty. Now, what I don't get to say to her is that she did me dirty too. Because honestly, that doesn't matter. Whether or not she knows what she did in my life, that's her. But the fact is that I began to experience a mental breakdown that affected her business and needed to separate from her. And I think that brings us back to loss of working memory. So yeah, that's the Venn diagram. It's loaded. There's a lot of shit on there, and I'm at 30-ish minutes. So we're gonna wrap it. Again, I'll come back to this periodically and touch on different aspects of it. And what I want to kind of as a broad thing, the loss of primary person who died is not always a spouse that causes this onslaught of grief, of problems, if you will, or challenges, if you will. It can be, it can be a parent, it can be a child, it can be your cat or your dog. It can be anything that causes this, because grief is it can be catastrophic to us. Sorry, I have an itch. As a result of all of mine and all of the shit that I've dealt with and the, never ending therapy, and I pray never ending therapy. I was diagnosed with complicated grief, which means that the emotional level doesn't, there's no pushing that shit down for me. That's why when I talk, it comes out of my eyes. Um, so please know that all of this doesn't necessarily have to do with a spouse. I'm going to reiterate, that's just the position that I'm coming from. I want to thank y'all so much for being here. This is super hard for me. It's a real vulnerable space to look in my own eyes and talk about this shit because, I don't see y'all. But, the day's coming when I'm going to interview people and I'll get to take guests that come on and stuff. People that are listening and watching. I will do some lives eventually. But please know that I appreciate you thinking of this in your life, and I appreciate you coming here and listening to me. And if you are a widow or widower and you're in any patch or piece of this, please know you're not alone. And when I say you're not alone, I'm not telling you that I'll be there, that you just call me if you need me. What I'm saying is drop something in a comment, and I'm here for you right now. If you're bold enough to leave me a phone number, I will be bold enough to call it. So I love you guys. Peace.